my brother one time mentioned like one of the most like cathartic things to do is just to go to the movie theater by yourself.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I that was not something I had ever done before. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go see a movie. And I went and did it. And like, then it became like now my thing when I travel. It's like,
Yes.
sometimes my wife makes fun of me for doing it. Cause we were like on a trip traveling somewhere and was like, let's go see the Lego Batman movie. Like, let's go do that tonight. And we did. So, but yeah, anyways, I like to, if you're a movie person, try to go see a movie by yourself.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot of fun.
The only downfall to going to see a movie by yourself is you don't have anyone to talk about it with after. Man. Welcome back to the Movie Dads podcast. We are your hosts. I am Howie.
I'm Kyle.
That is Kyle. We are back for our third of 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies in a row. We told you it was going to be turtle-rific for a few weeks.
To God, we're holding on to you guys.
We're not.
One more turtle movie.
Nobody's watching. That's okay. We're having a good time. It doesn't matter.
We've got a wicked awesome. There can only be 5 today.
It is.
So
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
And
lists.
they are not turtle related, everyone. So
not at all. They're good stuff. They're fun. So welcome. Yeah, like you said, welcome back to the Movie Dad podcast. It's episode 18. I can't believe you haven't seen it. The 2009 CW for Kids made for TV movie. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtles Forever. The movie I had zero idea until 2 weeks ago was even in existence. So
I think there's probably a lot of people that didn't know that existed. It's a
CW for Kids movie.
You really would only know it existed if you watched that 2003 Ninja Turtles series, which I loved.
So I've watched I didn't watch the entire series of the 2003 series, but it was one that I would watch it if it was on. I'd be like, oh, I'll watch this because I know this is good. The theme song's terrible, but I liked the show because I liked those turtles. I thought they were good. Again, anybody who watched episode 16, when we were doing our list of the best Ninja Turtles media, movies, and whatnot, I came across Turtles Forever and was like, I have no idea what this is. I watched the trailer and then I text you and I'm like, I didn't know this thing existed. And I have to tell you, again, we're going to get into this when we talk about the movie specifically. I am so glad that I discovered this movie. Honestly, I am glad that it has been discovered. Anyway,
I love that. I love that for you. I really do.
It's great. It's wonderful. So get to the business side of things. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Leave us some comments. Give us a share. We do, there's not a lot of people watching during the dog days of summer, but we would like those. We would like those likes. If you're not watching us on YouTube and you're listening to us on a podcast service, hopefully you can hear us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, your podcast index, and you can find some of our short videos on social media at Movie Dads Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. There we go. Got the business side out of the way. Episode 18. Can't believe you haven't seen it, Turtles Forever. But before we get to the movie, let's talk about we're movie dads. We have movie kids.
We do.
I was out of town for work again all week. Surprise, surprise.
Lucky you.
Yeah, no. Listen, I don't do good in hotels. I know we had that discussion on another episode where, man, I can't sleep for crap in a hotel. Oh, and it was like the toilet wouldn't stop running. I couldn't get it. I'm taking the tank off and I'm trying to fix it like I'm at home. Man, that thing wouldn't stop running for 4 days. But
you know what I think people like to listen to when they're already not listening to our podcast? Us talking about toilets.
Yeah, there's nothing else worth talking about. Anyways,
you were plumbing on your work trip.
I was complaining about the I won't say the name of the Holiday Inn in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Anyway, so
won't name them at all.
Won't name them at all. So movie kids. So I didn't get a whole lot of time with my kids this week. However, school is back. School has started. It
Let's
started
go.
yesterday.
Let's fucking go.
It's great. Kids had a great first day of school. Reagan started 7th grade. Holy cow, she's 2 years away from being in high school, which blows my mind. And
Wild.
then Des and Grayson both started 2nd grade.
Yes, they did.
So it sounds like a good start to the school year. Both kids came home happy with their teachers, happy with the kids in their class. So it sounds like overall things have been a positive. But that's really all I've got for this week because I haven't got to interact with them too much. So hopefully next week when we talk about it, I'll have some more better things to share.
Love that. Love that for you. School has started. It is great. Grayson does love his class. There's some kids in there from his last year's class. I heard originally him and Desi were supposed to be in the same class, but there was some finandering behind the scenes to make
there was some,
but I get it.
Behind the scenes things.
They are maniacs, so them in the same class, I can imagine, would have been crazy. So,
well, we know what happened in like dance class was a little.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Oh, you know what I could have mentioned is like flag football.
Oh yeah!
Holy cow!
Yep.
The boys are starting flag football.
Yep.
We got our
same
jerseys.
Team. Yep.
They're on the same team together. So again, we're going to see how that works out, right? We're going to see how they do interact on the same team together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a diehard Chiefs fan. Kyle's a diehard Jaguars fan.
Yes.
And both our kids, and so it's NFL flag football. It's the NFL flag football rules. Our kids are on the fucking Bills.
The goddamn Bills. The Buffalo blue and red and white Bills. So I told Howie, I'm getting Grayson a Jaguars warm-up, like full warm-up suit to wear as the game's getting ready to go. He's going to wear his Jags hat with his Bills jersey. Don't care. And then the second that freaking whistle blows, that jersey is gone because I will already be watching the Jags game during the game. But yeah, if you learn it, I mean, as we've been doing this podcast, it has not been during football season, so you haven't seen the true nerds. Like Howie and I are nerds about a lot of things, but him with his Chiefs and me with my Jags is literally like the top of our list of nerddom. So
yes.
So like if you know us, you know that is painful to have to put a Bills jersey on our kids. So
I mean, I had prepared myself that like I wouldn't let him play if it would have been an AFC West team. Like he's not playing for the Raiders or the Broncos for sure. Like there is a 0% chance. Maybe I'm crazy, but like Kyle, ask yourself if he would have been on the Colts, what would you have done? No, there's no way.
We would have not played. Yeah, we wouldn't have played.
We're switching teams. I don't care.
I'm already upset about like I have one platform and it's this damn podcast. I have a bone to pick with Nebraskans because God forbid they schedule any sports activities on a Saturday during the fall because then it'll be during Husker football. But then they plan every sporting event at exactly the same time as kickoff for NFL. So literally, like if you kids play any sports during the fall, it will be on Sunday and you will miss half the game. Or you'll be like me and you'll be that dad who's rocking and rolling for his son, but also rocking and rolling for my Jags at the same time. So anyways, we have gone into a lot about kid stuff. As you guys know, last week I was on a trip in Tahoe in California. I got to see my mom, and my youngest son, Cal, finally got to meet my mom and my brother, Justin. So it was good to get them together, meet their cousin, Patch, who is a rock star as well. It was a ton of fun. It was the first time in a long time I've really like unplugged on a vacation trip, like didn't check my work emails. Like the building could have been on fire and I wouldn't have known. We flew there and back like uneventful, which is mind-blowing. So no meltdowns, no babies crying. We made it there and back alive. So here we are. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then like how he said, school started. Parker starts going back to preschool. or daycare, preschool. I don't know technically what they call it now. And then Cal is also going to be going to daycare next week. So like everyone goes back to school next week for our family. And man, it's going to be quiet during the days. And I love that. So
yeah, maybe we can start recording again like on Fridays during the day.
yes. Oh my God. I forgot that that's how we started. That was great.
Yeah. I mean, this was the first, this is the first time I've had daylight behind me in like 12 episodes.
I know I'm in the bat cave right now, so it looks dark, but it's actually daytime.
Mhm.
Also, for any of the people that work with me that are listening, I record that on my lunch hour
Absolutely.
during Fridays. Even though that's not a thing at my job, we don't really have lunch hours. But anyways, yeah. So I mean, I guess let's.
I didn't say anything. What? Yeah,
oh.
lunch hour.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Why don't we jump into the segment that gets us the most excited? Our 6 to midnight things that get us up in the morning and excited about nerd stuff, new movies, new news that comes out, any kind of nerddom that has our interest at the time. I told Howie, I'm like, this is going to be like my third week in a row where I talk about something that's not like a breaking news, but kind of a little bit of a follow up, and then a jump into some nerd stuff. Batman related, shocking, I know. It's like all I do is talk about Batman. But one, I had mentioned a comic like way back, maybe like second or third episode. There was a comic that came out called The Imposter. It's a Batman comic, but it was basically like supposed to be Robert Pattinson's Batman in that kind of Gotham, same look, everything, same kind of emo Bruce Wayne kind of vibes. It's awesome. Like I am like blown away with it. It's really, really good. It feels like a companion piece to the movie, truly does. And it's kind of set prior to that Riddler stage. So really, really good. I would highly suggest if you're a Batman comic fan to read it. And then the other kind of thing that I'm nerding out about right now, I had seen it probably a year ago that it was on HBO Max. I had never like turned it on to listen to it or watch it, but there is a audio story or audio show for Batman. It's called Batman: The Audio Adventures. It's from HBO Max. When I first saw it, I thought it looked kind of goofy and that it wasn't like a legit thing. I kind of told you, Howie, about Batman Unburied. There was another kind of audio story from last year that was phenomenal.
I think that was a Spotify exclusive. That one was, right?
Yes.
And that was really good. You were right. That was really good.
It's so, that Batman Unburied, if you have Spotify, go listen to that podcast. Not podcast. It's literally like a 10 episode story. Sound effects, music, real actors. I want to say the guy
Winston Duke was Batman.
So that would
Baku be in Black Panther.
Yes, from Black Panther. Yeah, so that was amazing, and so that kind of like trickled into me trying to find these cool audio stories. Anyways, so I finally went back. We were traveling, so I'm like, I need something to listen to. I jumped into the Batman audio adventures, and there's 2 seasons. Each has like 10 episodes. And man, this show is phenomenal. It is awesome. As I was listening, I did no research ahead of time as I started listening. And multiple times throughout, as I was kind of listening to the show, I was like, wow, that voice sounds so familiar. Like, wow, the Riddler sounds exactly like John Leguizamo, like Sid the Sloth. And sure enough, it was. And so when I heard that, I was like, wait a minute, there's real actors in this thing? Like people we know? I need to look it up. And the cast is insane. So Jeffrey Wright he plays Commissioner Gordon in the new Batman with Robert Pattinson. He is Batman in this audio files. And this guy should be the next Kevin Conroy. He is an amazing Batman.
His voice is fantastic.
So good. And he kind of like spins it more in like kind of the classic old school Batman, like the way he talks. He has a Robin, so it's awesome. I'm going to fire through some of these famous actors that you might recognize. There's a ton in here, but I'm just going to go with the ones that will hit. Jeffrey Wright is Batman. Jason Sudeikis plays Mayor Hill, which isn't necessarily a popular or really well-known character, but he is in it. And then Ike Barinholtz plays Harvey Dent in Two-Face. You would know him from like Saturday Night Live, ton of movies. I mentioned John Leguizamo plays the Riddler, and he like, it's classic, like riddle me this type Riddler. He's freaking great. Rosario Dawson plays Catwoman. So
that's good casting.
Dude, she is an amazing Catwoman. And then just some other ones. Paul Scheer plays a guy named Mr. Charlie Horse, he's like a TV ad kind of person. Fred Armisen is King Scimitar, which is a really random character. But the two ones that like stood out to me that were just really cool is Kenan Thompson is Commissioner Gordon, and he is a freaking awesome Commissioner Gordon. It's really weird to say, but he rocks it. And then my favorite character actor in it is freaking Alan Tudyk, plays Alfred.
Alan Tudyk is like the most underrated
dude. He is like a
voice
Swiss
actor
Army knife
ever.
Yes, Alan Tudyk, the pirate, Steve the pirate from Dodgeball. Like his Alfred, he's not in a lot of it, but his Alfred is like, I want him and Jeffrey Wright as Batman and Alfred in everything. Like if you listen to this thing, just go and listen for Alan Tudyk as Alfred. He does an amazing job. But the thing that makes the story really cool is it's not like just, you know, from start to finish, you're in like a scene and the characters are talking to each other. It literally is like 2 to 5 minute scenes that are either between one or two characters. There's a narrator, very old school. It's kind of like listening to like The Shadow, like the old Shadow radio stories. But they do like one short little scene, and then they do like a breaking news, like news report that you're just listening to a reporter, or then like yeah, exactly, or like a TV ad or a radio ad of something in Gotham, and it just does a great job of how they jump back and forth between all these of like just building the Gotham city around you. It's amazing. I've talked too much. Go listen to the audio files.
What's it called one more time?
It's called Batman the Audio Adventure. You can find it on like literally anything that plays podcasts or those types of things. I think it's on YouTube. And then it's also on Max as well, if you've got Max. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I dig it. That's good. That
not brand new, but man, it's fucking new to me and I'm loving it.
That's all it needs. That's all you need. So I'm going to do a bonus movie review, but before that, a little follow up from last week. So last week I had talked about how they were talking about how they were going to make another Wonder Woman. They were going to make a third Wonder Woman, and Gal was coming back as Wonder Woman. Well, now there's reports coming out saying that's not the case. And
I fucking knew it. There was no way.
And yeah, so I don't know, because that was getting reported by reputable news sites, and then now it's, well, there's people behind the scenes, and nobody's come right out and said it's not happening, but there's people behind the scenes that are now saying that's not the case. So listen, I don't know what's going on. We're not going to go into it like we always do. We always make a mention about how the Flash sucks, and like, you know,
God, why did you have to take the moment to do that? We were finally going to have one without that comment.
No, I was going to do it, and we're going to, I had to. Anyway, so I don't know. So the follow up on that, now the reports have changed, so we'll see. But my 6 to Midnight this week was a bonus movie review, since we're doing another CW for Kids made for TV movie. I went and saw Talk to Me, which is the new A24 horror movie. It's Australian, and first off, when you see A24, you don't know what to expect. And
for sure, 1000%, yes.
I mean, like, we talk about A24, and like A24's got some crazy freaking movies out there, and this movie is, I had read very highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes. I believe it's at 96%. Like, it's almost, universally acclaimed across the board. Most of the reviews say it's the scariest movie of 2023 so far. I'd say that's fair.
Fascinating.
It's very different. Obviously you see in the trailers, like, grab a hand and you say, talk to me. And then it seems like the person gets possessed. There's more to it. Obviously,
Okay.
it's not
Okay.
exactly how it goes.
Okay.
But it does basically, it is very much like, it seems like it's a bridge to the spirit world kind of deal. I'm not going to give away anything spoilers. There are
Okay.
some
Love
very,
that.
very uncomfortable scenes that are very hard to watch. And it's wild. It is gripping, I will say. Is it scary? Probably. To a lot of people it's scary. There's some jumpy stuff, but it's mostly uncomfortable. Like, but
Okay.
it's not let me make sure I say it's not hereditary uncomfortable. I will
Mhm.
see Talk to Me Again. It's very enjoyable. Like,
Okay.
I would recommend it highly. I don't know if you need to go see it in theaters, but I would definitely, it's like a watch in the dark at night kind of movie.
Nice.
It's good. If you like horror movies though, definitely go see Talk to
That's
Me.
how I Get
A24.
Out. I didn't see Get Out in theaters, but it was
Mhm.
still worth like going back and watching, and it was terrifying. So
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not, there hasn't been a ton of horror this year yet. Usually horror is saved for the fall. We already talked about we've seen some trailers for some stuff that's coming out that's pretty exciting.
yeah.
I think The Last Voyage of the Demeter actually comes out this weekend. The reviews on that aren't great, which is unfortunate. But
Oh, dude,
because,
that's a bummer. I'm like
yeah,
stoked for.
yeah, I heard it's gruesome, but it's empty, and like there's a lot of dumb decisions made in the movie. But listen, I'm just going by what other people have said. I haven't seen it, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yep. 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 Yep.
But obviously September and October is really when you kind of get into the horror films of the year. I'd say best horror movie up to this point was Evil Dead Rise, and we actually did a review on that one on this
Yep.
podcast.
Yes, we did.
That was a good movie. It's See, that's different than Talk to Me, because Talk to Me is unsettling, where Evil Dead Rise is more gruesome, right, and like
Yeah.
violent.
Yep.
Not to say Talk to Me doesn't have scenes in it like that, but it's totally different. But highly recommend. I would say go see it. Good movie, great horror movie, definitely worth the watch. So that was my 6 to midnight for this week.
Love that. I'm annoyed because I was going to text you today that we should go see it, because I saw like a quick clip of someone that was like, this movie was the best scary movie of the year. And I was like, oh, fuck, we should go see that. And then obviously I should have already known that you have already seen it. So Howie is much better at like hammering out 2 or 3 movie theater movies a week sometimes. So he's a lot better at it than I am. So
the thing I do is, like, as busy as I am, because I travel a lot, right? And
that's a good
I'm
point.
very much like, if I'm in a hotel, I'm going to go see a movie because there's nothing else to do usually, or I like to go see late night movies, like after everybody's asleep.
Yeah.
I'll go to the movies late anyway. So, like, and you were gone, so sorry.
That's okay.
Otherwise, I would have
actually.
texted you.
Both of those things are interesting that you had mentioned, because like for me, when I really started getting into like movie theaters and like really going and seeing a movie was when I was a kid. I can't remember which Harry Potter it was, but there was like back in the day, for all of you youths that are listening, none of you, they did midnight releases of movies. If it was like a movie's coming out on Friday, it was coming out at like basically Thursday night at midnight. So, and like, when I think of like going and seeing a new movie, I think going late at night. So that's lines up with kind of where we're at. And also what we used to do back in the day, and now that I'm not in California, they can't take me to jail for it, but we used to go see one movie and we would line up what next movie was there, and we would just sneak into the next one. So,
but you really can't do that anymore anyway, with the assigned seating thing.
Yeah, for sure. That would, assigned seating was not a thing back then.
I've done that. Don't worry, I've done that too.
Okay. All right. Well, FBI on your phone's coming for you.
He already knows what I'm doing.
Dang it. Oh, and then like traveling, when I used to travel a ton for work, and like my brother one time mentioned, like one of the most like cathartic things to do is just to go to a movie theater by yourself. And I that was not something I had ever done before, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go see a movie, and I went and did it, and like then it became like now my thing when I travel. It's like, sometimes my wife makes fun of me for doing it, because we were like on a trip traveling somewhere and was like, let's go see the Lego Batman movie. Like, let's go do that tonight. And we did. So, but yeah, anyways, I like to, if you're a movie person, try to go seeing a movie by yourself. If you're traveling, it's a lot of fun.
The only downfall to going to see a movie by yourself is you don't have anyone to talk about it with afterwards, right? That's the only thing I would say is the downfall with it. Cause there's a lot of times where I go see a movie and it's like, I mean, that's kind of how this podcast got started. Cause there's a lot of times I'll see a movie and I'm like, holy shit, I want to talk about that with somebody, you know, and you know, that's a movie nerd kind of deal, right? Like not everybody's like that, but that's just the way we tick. And that's the only bad thing about seeing a movie by yourself. But I'm with you 100%. I have seen a ton of movies by myself, and it's like the most peaceful thing, especially if it's like in the middle of the freaking day.
Yes,
and there's like nobody there. Oh,
yeah,
I love it.
It's freaking awesome.
All right, anyway, that's my 6 to midnight. That's our 2 cents on seeing movies by yourself.
It's gonna be a long goddamn episode.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but we might get through this next one. This movie doesn't have a lot of substance to it. We're gonna get through this part fast. But that takes us into the I can't believe you haven't seen it movie of the week, the 2009 CW4 Kids, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles Forever. Kyle'd seen this movie a billion times. I didn't know the movie existed. I watched the movie last night. I had to get it on Amazon for $4.99, which is fine. It's a rental.
Worth it.
Standard definition, though. Ugh.
Oh, standard. Bought it for the 10 or 15. I think it was probably like 15 or something.
I think it was 15 anyway. Yeah, so I rented it. I didn't know if it was going to be good or not. It's a freaking made-for-TV cartoon movie. So we talked about when we ranked our Ninja Turtles media, how good the 2003 Ninja Turtles series was, right? It was, I think it was top 4 on both our lists. We had it, I think, as our second favorite series after the original 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles television series. We both had that one, and we had this one second in the series of the 4 different cartoon series that have come out. Listen, they're all good. First off, I think we all agreed they were all good. But we had this one number 2. This movie is basically like the finale to that series. That's how this was created. It was the send-off. Basic premise is this. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the 2003 series stumble upon the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, there's video of Ninja Turtles on camera, and Splinter's like, what are you guys doing? You know, and they're like, we were here. It's not us. And so then they find out that the Purple Dragons have captured these other imposter turtles. Basic story. I'm going to give the full synopsis here, right? We got another set of turtles. It's the 1987 Turtles. Shredder and the Technodrome have come through a multiverse portal into the 2003 Turtles world. Okay.
Yep.
Basically, he goes to resurrect the Shredder from that world, which if anybody's watched that series, right? If anybody's watched that series, Shredder's an Utrom, right? So he's an alien. He's basically a Krang. He doesn't look like a Krang. He's an Utrom. He's a little pink guy, right?
Yeah. He's like a walking brain.
He's like a Krang.
It actually looks more like he looks more like one of the ghosts from Pac-Man.
That is actually pretty accurate. Yes, he has very round little, I don't know, tentacles. I don't know what they are. Anyway, he looks stupid when he's not in the Shredder outfit.
Not my favorite.
No,
by far like my least favorite iteration of Shredder.
Shredder's awesome, right?
Yeah, when he's in his costume, he's cool.
Until you see him like driving the Shredder suit, which is, again, it's dumb, right? Like, he's cool, whatever. Anyway, so they bring back Shredder. Shredder's got a new body. He's tougher. He's got mutagen now, so he's creating a mutant army. Toka and Razor are there. You can clearly see him. Bebop and Rocksteady from the old series are there. Hun from the Purple Dragons turns into Slash, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Kind of. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Is he supposed to be
Slash, I think.
Because sure looks like him.
It's like an amalgamation of Slash and like maybe one or two others.
So new Shredder wants to kill he goes through all the portals and he sees there's all these different Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And he's like, goes ballistic. And he's like, I have to destroy them all. And the only way to destroy them all is to kill the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right?
Oh
So
my gosh.
basically all these universes start getting erased. There's this big battle at the end. Good guys win. Shredder ends up blowing up at the end. The end. And then the old turtles go back to their own dimension. That's the whole plot right there. I just gave it to you.
Yeah.
This is a short movie.
The whole movie, pretty much.
Whole movie. It's great.
It's awesome.
As a
right?
Ninja Turtle fan, it's great. Listen,
it's awesome.
The 2003 Turtles are awesome. The 1987 Turtles are goofy and cheesy and campy as hell. And it's almost played out too much in the movie.
Oh, you think? I
said almost. I don't think it was, but it was almost.
Okay. I love, like, I mean, you mentioned it. Like, we had those series ranked 1 and 2. I think we had the older cartoon series ranked 1 because, like, those are the turtles that we grew up with. Like, that's what started it all for us. I loved that, like, okay, these are both my 2 favorite Ninja Turtle series, and now they are both in the same movie. So we get both of them. So we get the cool stuff from one and the cool stuff from another. And I liked that that you see the contrast between the two, that like the newer group is like serious and like the older group is goofy, but they still kick butt, and kind of the new group is kind of like, how the hell are you kicking butt when you're an oaf? So I like that. I love, because there was no Bebop or Rocksteady in the newer ones. So, like, I love that they got to be like, now we get a Bebop and Rocksteady in this more modern Ninja Turtle kind of universe. I, like you mentioned, I think the premise of Shredder in the newer one is stupid. Like, him being an Utrom and like being a walking brain thing
Not my
is
favorite,
dumb. When he's in his like Shredder costume, like, he looks badass. He almost looks kind of like a silver super Shredder. But I actually love the Shredder from the old one. Like, when you're watching the old cartoon, you don't think he's goofier than hell. Like, he doesn't seem like a goofy oaf when you're watching the old cartoon. But seeing him in this world, he is basically like a moron.
But when you're a kid too, like, you remember some of those cheesy ass lines though, like, tonight I dine on turtle soup, you know, like, you remember stuff like that. I remember the episode like it was yesterday, where like Donnie's in his trench coat, I think, and he's like walking through a crosswalk, and like he almost gets run over, and he's like, hey, pedestrians have the right of way. And Shredder jumps out and he's like, pedestrians, yes, amphibians, no. Like, that's Shredder from the original series, which, by the way, was voiced by the dad from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, freaking R.I.P. man.
Yeah,
he was so freaking.
Pour one
good.
out.
So as a kid, though, I never really noticed him being goofy. Honestly, it wasn't until you and I were talking about it in our last episode. We were talking about how Secret of the Ooze kind of made him goofier, and we were like, maybe to be more like the cartoon. That's was
exactly
like,
right.
Yeah, I guess
exactly right.
I guess he was goofy, and that's what they're going for. But like him, like, it's just really funny. Like, the older goofy cartoon Shredder, like in the same room as like this more like modern, like serious Shredder, he basically beats the shit out of him and Krang, and takes over the Technodrome, which is another thing that's not in the more modern TV show. So to see the Technodrome in that was like cool. Basically, the newer Shredder is like, this is amazing. I'm gonna take this over and do what you never could do.
Turn it into the most badass Technodrome you've ever seen.
Yeah. Turns it into like an actual. It's like if a oaf who's not goofy actually ran this thing, it actually could be pretty, like, I don't know, destructive. And so, like I said, Bebop and Rocksteady being back is great. I love it. It's a ton of fun because it has all these things that I love, and they're like put together in like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They just go right together. One thing that I think is interesting, and this is more like animation and like budget decisions. I didn't realize how much detail was put in the original Turtles cartoon, like in terms of like their art and what they look like, until they're right next to the newer ones. and it's very apparent. The same thing happened with Batman the animated series. So like the first 3 seasons, maybe 2.5, are like highly detailed. The whole entire thing, like the art is crazy. There's a lot of effort into everything. But then once the Superman the animated series came out, they like streamlined the art so they could quickly pump out episodes, and they kind of changed Batman. And you'll notice on those, like he goes from having like his yellow and black emblem and his blue cape, and to just like black and gray with the black Batman suit. Like he doesn't have any pupils anymore. Like it's just everyone's got like white eyes, or white eyes with just a black instead of a full eyeball. I don't know how to explain it. But basically, they changed the animation so they could pump episodes out faster. So I thought that was cool to see the older version of the Turtles have like way more detail in what they look like in their art style compared to the newer Turtles that are. The new Turtles are badass. They look super cool, but like
Oh, of
there's a lot
course.
more. There's a lot more details and color, and more of like that live action 90s Turtles movie vibe from the
Yes,
older ones than the new ones. So
you're
anyways, that was a
absolutely
long
right.
rant.
No, you're good. Like I gave a full freaking synopsis at the beginning. So, um, listen, the movie, the tone is captured perfectly between the two. Like it was really cool watching like the old Turtles interact with the new Splinter, and then the new Turtles
Yeah.
interact with old Splinter when they go to get, equipment, which turns out to be like pizza and a flashlight. But
Yeah, it's so funny. When like
it is hilarious. Like these are the jokes that like you watch this as an adult and you're like, this is great. Like this is exactly what I would love to see, even though this is, way past the time when I was watching this. But like old Splinter has this really good conversation, and it kind of makes because the newer Turtles are really like, these guys are a freaking joke, right? Like,
yeah,
they can fight, but they're a freaking joke, and they're driving us nuts. Like, oh, it's noogie time. There's that was the parts where I was like, oh, it's almost getting to be too much. I don't think it was, but it was like, it was borderline with some of it.
yeah.
Some of the stuff that I thought was really funny was like the old Turtles have no problem walking around in the broad daylight talking to
Yeah,
people, because
straight up right on the street.
that part's hilarious. They just walk into a pizza shop and everybody runs out screaming, and they're like, free pizza. And they even make jokes about like, you put jelly beans and anchovies on it, right? Like, because remember when that old cartoon was coming out, and it was like every kid wanted to put weird shit on pizza because that's what the Ninja Turtles did. I remember doing it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, I'm going to put weird shit on pizza. And there was such a running joke, and they made sure to incorporate some of that in. Listen, that's all hilarious. It's extremely well done. The Turtles end up all working together. There's even jokes about like, hey, look, they all got initials on their belts, right? Like, and how, like, who does that? That part's all funny. My absolute favorite part, and you had talked about this when we had this conversation, was when they go back to Turtle Prime.
Yep.
And it's the comic book Turtles, and they are all, you are right, they're all very like Batman. Every single one of them is like this. Like, these are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they're all like this. And like the first thing they say is, what's with the matching different colors on your face masks? Like they're like, what is that about? Because they were always the same.
Yeah, because the original Turtles, they all had the same. I mean, it was black and white, so there was no color. But once they finally did, they were all red, of them, right? Wore red headbands.
So that was,
a lot of people know that.
Hilarious. The old original Turtles was absolutely my favorite part. I really thought it would be the old 87 Turtles. The 1984 comic book Turtles stole the freaking show. Like Raph, when they get into that world and it's like dark and it's so gritty and like there's nobody around. Like, Raph's like, I'm gonna vacation here. Like, this is perfect.
Well, the original comic, like they are like, it's gory. It's very gruesome. Like they use their weapons in the original comic. So like the way they talk, I mean, it's a kid's movie, so they don't really do any of it, but you could tell they're kind of hinting at like, we need to kill this guy. Like, we need to take this guy out.
And they don't give two shits. And, we talked about this on a previous episode where I think it was when we did the 90s movies, that, the Turtles were very much made as a parody to superhero comic book movies, specifically Daredevil. Right?
Daredevil,
the organization Daredevil fights is the hand, and the turtles fight the foot, right? Like Daredevil's mentor was
I love
Stick.
that you pointed that out. Nobody correlates that of like where the Foot Clan came from was because Daredevil fought
the hand. And
love it.
Stick and Splinter. I mean, it's so on the nose. Like
I forgot all about that. Stick is the teacher of Daredevil. I don't think I think people more commonly would know Ninja Turtles background and those types of things than people would of Daredevil. I would say is probably true.
Well, if you watched the Netflix Daredevil show, you should know those things. Even if you didn't read old Daredevil comics from the 60s and 70s, you're not going to know that as much. But if you watch the Netflix show, Stick is very much prevalent, especially in that first season. The hand is through
best Marvel show that they have done, and it was
very
like
well
the first one.
Yes, very well.
I guess I haven't seen the last like 5, so WandaVision and all that. That was when I haven't seen that. Anyways, so, I mean, continue. I didn't mean to jump in and talk about.
So the Gritty Turtles are my favorite. They all team up at the end. Like the old comic turtles are in it for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes at most. There is a cool scene where Shredder's going through and he's looking at all these like windows.
I was just about to say that.
And there's the live action turtles. There's different variations. There's the TMNT movie from like 2007.
Which I thought was really cool when they added that in there.
Super cool. That whole thing's cool. It's like what happens at the end of that shitty DC movie that came out in June.
I knew you were going to do that.
Except it was done better and it actually looked good, right? It wasn't super crappy.
The Flash basically like ripped that scene from that movie. It's literally the same thing. Like Shredder's going through and looking, and it's kind of like the Matrix. Like there's everywhere you can see different worlds and different versions, and also Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse kind of did the same thing. So did it better than Flash.
I can't believe this movie existed.
Did it first.
I can't believe this movie existed. And I did can we talk about are there other multiversal comic book movies that I don't know about? Or is this because this is
the Godfather of
I mean, I almost want to say this movie walked so Spider-Verse could run. Or
truly. You're telling me that the person who made Across the Spider-Verse or even the first one they had to have seen this movie because there's so much.
Has this I don't know. I'm sure in the pantheon of comic books from DC and Marvel and Image, Dark Horse or whatever, I'm sure there are multiversal stories that I've never read before this. Absolutely. I think this was well done, but this is so on the nose for what's happening in comic book movies right now. Marvel's literally going through the multiverse saga. We had Spider-Man No Way Home that is essentially the same thing as this movie. The Flash had scenes straight ripped out of this movie, it seemed like. But I didn't know this existed, but it's so on the nose for today. It's crazy. And honestly, it worked really well. I looked at some of how the reception for this was. Obviously, it's not Rotten Tomatoes. Again, it's a made-for-TV kids movie. There's none of that. But fan reactions are pretty positive. I mean, I think audience scores are in the 80s. Listen, it's an 8.
Yeah.
It's an 8 out of 10. If I'm watching this, listen, it came out in 2009. I was 26 years old when this movie came out. Okay. It would have probably been an 8 then too. If I'm a kid and I'm watching that, it's a freaking 10. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah. But it's an 8. It's really well done for what it is. Again, I'm probably grading it on a curve because I know there's no budget. I know it's a cartoon kids movie. The fact that this movie exists and I didn't know about it, it's crazy.
But it is up there in quality Ninja Turtle movies. It's one of the best.
I might have had it on that list.
Number 3. Yeah.
I might have had it over Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I might have had it over that just because I had so much fun with it.
Yeah. There's a ton. It's the whole movie is fan service, which is like
Yes.
sometimes it's like just give us that, and they did, and it was awesome. So
Yeah.
I similarly give it an 8. I would hope that you will now purchase it so that Desi can watch it,
Yeah, I'm
because
gonna
I'm
try
sure
and
Desi will love it.
find a physical copy of it or something. I mean, it's good.
But it's you, and if you're listening and you're like, I never watched the 2003 series or the original cartoon, you still can watch this movie and totally know what's going on. You'll know all the characters for the most part. Um, it's a ton of fun. So, but yeah, I give it an 8 as well.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Go rent it.
Yeah.
Go buy
Go
it.
get it. Go get it. I love it.
Sweet. All right, let's
do it, Kyle. It's time. There can
just
be only 5.
only 5. Let's do it.
I think I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
Just
Love
because
that.
I actually like your list better than mine. So I'm gonna go first. But you go first next week. So
Okay.
we did this. So this is gonna be fun. So this is actually gonna be a 2-parter. There could be only 5. So we're going to do each picked a subject for this week. And then we're going to do basically it's yin to the yang next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So my category this week was the top 5 songs associated with a movie. That's the way I'm going to say it. Okay. Because Kyle and I had a conversation about what I meant earlier. Like, this isn't the theme. Like, this isn't Jaws. Done. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's going to be next week. All right.
Yep.
But so little tease for you. So this is songs associated with the movie. Now there's a lot, and there's some good ones.
There is a lot. There's so many.
And
so many.
I had a big long list, and I had to get this down to 5. Now there are some on here that nobody else is going to probably have on their list, but that's because this is my list.
I think I have a couple too that you and
maybe.
Like, I bet there's maybe 2, maybe 1, probably 2 that are the same.
I can think of one for sure we both have. I think that's it. Maybe 2, but I think 1 for sure. Anyway, so this is my list. I didn't do honorable mentions for this one because there were so many that I had outside my top 5 that I could have listed. Like, I could have done
a top 20.
I could have done a top 20. Anyway, top 5. Number 5, Purple Rain from the movie Purple Rain.
Yes, I love that you have that.
Purple Rain is probably like if it's not my favorite Prince song, it's my second favorite Prince song. And it's the song's better than the movie. I think we've talked about that before. Like, I think the song Purple Rain is better than the movie Purple Rain. And that's saying something. But that's a great song. Like, if you like Prince, you know Purple Rain, and you've probably never seen the movie. But you know that song because it rocks.
Facts. Yes.
Number 4, Everything I Do It For You. Bryan Adams from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Like, I love that song. I love that movie. I like Bryan Adams. I think he's great and he's underrated. That movie
This is great.
I love that movie. Like, it came out, I think I was like 9 or 10 years old. As bad as Kevin Costner is as Robin Hood, that movie is awesome. Alan Rickman as the Sheriff of Nottingham rocks.
What did you just say about Kevin Costner as Robin Hood?
How was his British accent?
It's about the character, not the accent.
Don't get me started on Kevin Costner.
Cost. Don't you dare.
Everything I Do It For You by Bryan Adams, number 4. Number 3, Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. is at number 3.
Let's go.
Listen, that's like an all-time iconic, like, it's on every Halloween album ever made. Like, it's on every 80s greatest playlist. Like, they're like, kids today know that song and have no idea that they've ever heard the name Ray Parker Jr.
100%. 100%. Nobody, 90%, 95% of the population couldn't tell you who sings that song, but they know that song.
Right.
And they know what movie it's from. And they've probably never even seen the movie nowadays, these freaking youths.
Well, our kids have.
But man, hobby.
Ghostbusters at number 3. Number 2, Lose Yourself by Eminem.
I
The
knew
soundtrack to 8 Mile.
Could feel it in my plumes that you were going to have that on your list.
I'm a big Eminem fan, and it's always been, since it came out, my favorite Eminem song. Like I love that song. I love that
That's
song.
awesome.
It's the best. He won an Oscar for that song, as he should have. Lose Yourself is number 2. And number 1, my all-time favorite movie associated with song associated with a movie is Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. This is number 1. Like, I could have made a top 3 of just Kenny Loggins songs.
Yeah, facts,
if I wanted to. I decided only to put one. Footloose almost made the list, but I left it off.
I thought you were going to have Footloose. I'm surprised you didn't.
Listen, I had
I'm
to
really
do
surprised
Danger
you
Zone.
did.
Danger Zone is the best. Like, that opening scene to Top Gun is perfect on the aircraft carrier with the planes landing. The only thing that could have made it better is if they did it again in the second one. And guess what? They did the exact same thing with Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone. Yeah, let's go.
Fucking awesome. Makes that whole movie. When I was a kid, I fucking lived for that song.
How many kids that grew up in the 80s or 90s at some point haven't played that song extremely loud in their car and driven way too fast?
Oh, way too fast.
100%.
I literally still do it now. Or anytime I played with Jets, all I would do was freaking sing like that. Like we all did it. So
Danger Zone.
Love that. What a list. You know, I'm kind of shocked at your list and looking at my list. And you'll find out why. I was going to have it as an honorable mention, but I actually decided to have them tied for 5th because I think they deserve that. Tied for 5 is Purple Rain from the movie. Purple Rain from the movie. And I've got it tied with Booker T and the MGs, Green Onion from The Sandlot.
Wow.
You probably weren't
I know what song you're talking about, but
I don't know if you can hear that on the mic.
Yeah, yep.
But anytime I hear that movie, it's on one of my summer playlists. I immediately go to The Sandlot. So, and I have that on my pool playlist, my summer. So maybe I listen to that more than most people. But tied for number 5 with Purple Rain, Green Onions. And then let's jump to number 4. Let me preface this, Howie. You're going to hate me because we have very different rules of how we do these lists. And my rules that I did was like, if there's multiple songs in one movie, I'm going to just say all of them. So,
okay.
So tied, or not tied, but number 4, I have 3 songs from one movie. Quad City DJs, Space Jam, Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an Eagle, and who I shall not name, I Believe I Can Fly, Mr. PP himself. All 3 of those songs tell me like Space Jam, everybody get up, it's time to slam now. That fucking Fly Like an Eagle. And then obviously I Believe I Can Fly. Those, anytime I hear any of those songs, I immediately think Space Jam. And I also think that movie was infinitely cooler because all of those songs like perfectly fit. So yeah, that's my number 4. Let's jump over to my number 3. He goes by the name Ray Parker Jr. This is Ghostbusters from one of the most classic songs ever. I remember my childhood being at elementary school. Our PE teacher would play like certain musics while we did freaking random sporting games. And like every day started with the Ghostbusters. So my kids love it. They say play the Ghostbusters song all year long. But there we go. Number 3. Number 2. 2 songs, 1 movie. I'm just going to play the first one to give you where we're at. Okay, this is the first song from this movie. It will give it away right away. My number,
Take My Breath Away.
my number 2 song is Danger Zone and Take My Breath Away from Top Gun. Because man, they go together. I know Danger Zone is like the thing, but I'm a sucker for Take My Breath Away. So even the Jessica Simpson version, I like just because it's Top Gun. So there you go. 2 songs. Number 2, Danger Zone, Take My Breath Away. They're some of the most popular songs ever. And then they are solely related to that movie. Like they're in nothing else. That's what I think of when I hear them immediately. And then number 1, this is one of the greatest songs ever from a movie. And anytime you hear it, you can only think of one movie.
It's just too bad. It's too bad that movie.
That movie it's
okay.
All right. For those who are playing the home game, that is Kiss from a Rose by Seal. Baby, like God, it hits in your soul. It's a song that I think has outlived the movie. It's like it's still soaring while the movie took an early nosedive. It's random. I don't know why. When I was looking at these songs on the list, I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, that's got to be my number 1." Let's go.
That's good. Yeah, I love it. I love that list. I love that list.
What fun! What a fun list.
Fun list. I was so close. So you're talking about songs that soared for movies that didn't. I almost on my list. I was going to do an honorable mention of it, but I left it off. Talk about a song that's iconic for a movie I don't think anybody saw. Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio.
Oh, that's from a movie?
From the movie Dangerous Minds.
Oh, dude, what a badass song.
Almost
badass song. I didn't know that was from a movie.
You remember the music video is Michelle Pfeiffer sitting in a chair.
Oh,
because she's the
I didn't
it's
know.
her movie.
I didn't realize how it's from a movie. That's embarrassing. I feel young and like
it's not a great movie.
Before my time. So
but that's why.
Love that. Honestly, I'm surprised. I'm shocked that you didn't have Eye of the Tiger on, because as we were texting about this list,
that's why I used it as an example.
That was the example that you kept using. So I
wasn't going to put it on my list.
I was like, okay, don't put that on your list because Howie's probably going to have it on his list. But Eye of the Tiger was the song that kind of was the example for us when we were making this.
Dude, there were so many. I was like, oh man, like the one from Karate Kid, like, I am the man who will fight for your honor. Remember that song? Yeah, that's great. St. Elmo's Fire by John Parr. Movie's dumb. Song's great. There's so many. Like,
love that.
Don't You Forget About Me.
Don't you forget about me.
So many.
I saw that one too, and I thought that should be on this list. And same with Footloose, but
Footloose too. Yeah,
those aren't like my favorite movies. I've watched Footloose maybe twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favorite. Judge me, Jesse and Matt. So let's jump into the other There Can Only Be Five, the list that is also going to be a 2-parter. And so this week's There Can Only Be Five was how did I word
the
this?
Most perfect casting of characters in a movie.
Yes, like the
most perfectly cast characters.
Who is cast perfect for a movie? Or I kind of looked at it more, and maybe our list will be way different because of how I was looking at it, even though I was the one that came up with this topic. I was thinking more in lines of like someone who played a role that is like who they are. Like that role is that person, and I can't see anybody else in it.
I'm not going to, so I'm going to tell you how I did mine before you go. So you know ours are going to be different.
Okay.
I did the casting that I thought was the most accurate to the character that they were cast as. So I'm going to go into more detail before I start my list. So I don't have original characters on my list. I have, like, they're either from comic books or they're literary or they're from some other media.
Okay, we went a way different route, but I like that. I think this is going to be an interesting.
So I'll go into more detail, like when I
as
do
we're
my
going
list.
through
Yep.
it. As we're going through it. Okay.
Yep.
Wow, this is all over the place. I can't believe I had done this list like 16 times and pulled it out, reshuffled some things.
It's a tough list.
It is a tough list. And so I'm going to start with my honorable mentions of perfectly cast for a role, or in my eyes, like they were this character and I can't see them as anything else other than them.
Okay.
My first honorable mention, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator. I can't see him as anybody other than Terminator. He was that role. And then my second honorable mention, Captain Jack Sparrow. I don't think it's hard to see him in any other role than I mean, he's played in obviously other movies. Johnny Depp's been in a million movies, but like he is Captain Jack Sparrow. And then my last honorable mention was Frodo Baggins. I don't think anyone could, I mean, that's like the only role that he played. Like, am I blanking on Frodo Baggins? Elijah Wood. Like, he can't be in any other movie since then without us that's Frodo. Like, Frodo is who he is. So
yeah,
I'm getting the vibe our list is going to be very, very different.
It is going to be very different. And it's funny, like, as much as, and I'm just sorry, I'm hopping in, but like, as much as you talk about Frodo, I think you're dead right on that one. You think about Sean Astin as Sam, like, he's so good as Sam, but like, he's Rudy to me.
Yeah, same. He's Rudy to me too.
Or he's Mike from the Goonies. Like, as much as he's Sam, he's as much those. Which I think, like, that's something to say about Sean Astin. Like, that's good for him that he's not forever Samwise Gamgee. And he's not forever Rudy Rudiger. And he's not forever Mike from the Goonies. Like, he has multiple iconic roles. It's funny.
You just reminded me of that like GIF or meme from like when Stranger Things came out, and they're like when the kids are like tweeting.
I was about ready to say that. I was about ready to say that because they show him in 50 First Dates where he's in the mesh tank top, and I can't. But he's Doug from 50 First Dates, and I think the meme said like
it just goes down and down.
Yeah, Sam didn't cross the mountains of Mordor so you could be remembered as Bob and Doug, and it's you're dead on though.
Another right under it that says like Rudy didn't go to junior college for like 3 years, so he could finally start and get a sack for Notre Dame. Like, it's freaking awesome.
But when I watched Lord of the Rings with the kids not that long ago, Desmond said, "Oh, it's Bob from Stranger Things," and I backhanded him and said, "Don't you dare!" No, I didn't. But it's I started.
You thought about it.
I started laughing because I'm like, that's exactly that freaking meme. It's exactly right. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I honestly, I did have all three of those were in my top 5 at one point and then had been moved out because as I was going through, I'm like, fuck, I got to have so-and-so in this because that person emulates him and only him. All right. Number 5, like most perfectly cast character. This actor is this character. It's tough to see him as anything else. Tony Stark, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. And when I say that, I'm primarily speaking about Iron Man 1. I know he plays Iron Man great throughout the whole entire series, but that first Iron Man movie with him was so perfectly cast and so good at that role that it literally kicked off a like 40 movie and show multi-billion-dollar business
You're dead
because
on.
he was so good
If
at Tony
if
Stark.
if he wasn't Tony Stark, the MCU is not what it is.
Yes, it was so freaking amazing. Also, little Rudy Easter egg, Jon Favreau, who was the director and writer, and also obviously he was
Happy Hogan.
Happy, his Alfred. He was in Rudy, by the way. He was Rudy's best friend.
You're right.
Okay, let's jump to number 4. Most perfectly cast. Nobody saw it coming. Everyone was annoyed when they first announced this guy was going to play this character. And then the trailer came out, and people watched the trailer 700 times before the movie came out. And then he won an Oscar for it. Heath Ledger, the Joker, the Dark Knight. He was made for that role. I know, like, he's in a million other roles and like 10 Things I Hate About You and stuff like that. But like in A Knight's Tale, by the way, shout out, great movie if you've never seen
Great
it.
movie.
Is Alan Tudyk's in that as well, by the way?
He is. And
look at all these.
And Paul Bettany plays Chaucer.
Yes, look at us.
Vision
like,
himself, Jarvis himself.
Yes. Dude, what a freaking underrated classic. A Knight's Tale, fucking badass.
Making a note.
Look at us just.
When we don't have new movies in 2024, we're watching A Knight's Tale.
You've seen A Knight's Tale, right?
I own A Knight's Tale on DVD.
I thought you were about to say that, what's that? Or I've never seen it. Let's write a note because we need to watch it. I was going to walk over across the way here to your house and slap some sense into you.
Nope, that's a you need to see this movie.
Yes, because it's so goddamn good. Heath Ledger, he's the main character in that, by the way. He's great. Sir Lance, what's it? No, it's something from Lechtenberg.
I don't remember. Doesn't matter.
Anyways, all right. Number 4, Heath Ledger, Joker, The Dark Knight, best or perfectly cast movie. Number 3, this man has played this character in a shit ton of movies, in a ton of iterations. Even when they swap out every character with different actors and do a whole new universe, they still bring him back for this. We're about to get another one of him, Mr. Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. My Lord, is anyone more perfect for a role than Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine? Like, I know he's been in a ton of other movies and he's really come on the scene. I mean, obviously, it's not really new anymore, but like when he originally came and played the Wolverine in the original X-Men movie, he was a nobody at the time. And he was so good that he essentially stole the show and then kind of became the main character, the main actor in most of the movies. They put him in all the series. He got his own solo films. They did some old school, like one-off, old Logan was fucking awesome. We're about to get him in his blue and yellow. Finally, at the end of it, we get the original look. He is Wolverine. Like, can we say Hugh Jackman's anything other than Wolverine?
No, I'm going to talk about that more when I get to my list.
Perfect.
He's not on my list.
Oh,
but I'm going to explain why.
You scoundrel!
No, you'll understand. You'll understand. You'll understand.
Okay, I just splashed water all over my face. Giggity. For number 1, I've got a tie, and I felt that this was the right thing to do and not have one of them in as an honorable mention. I wanted to have them as tied. So tied, and maybe this will be confusing because one of them is one actor and 2 different roles, and one of them is a separate actor and a separate role.
Okay.
So 3 total characters are tied for number 1.
I think I know what
2
you're
actors.
talking about, but yes, I think I know.
Number 1, tied for number 1 as like the perfect cast, best cast actor for a role. I can't see him as either only one of these 2. Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Like, could we talk about like that man was made for those roles? And I know he's been in a million movies, but like no one could have played Han Solo like he played Han Solo.
Yep.
And no one could have played freaking Indiana Jones like Harrison Ford played those 2 characters. Like perfectly cast. And then I've got him tied with Black Panther Chadwick Boseman. I know that might be kind of way off the radar, but man, like,
No,
yeah,
it's
that was
but
way off the radar. But
not
like,
who I expected you to say.
he was so good as Black Panther and made that whole like that him as that character like drew me back into really being interested in like Marvel stuff. I freaking loved him, and obviously he passed away, which is shitty.
Horrible.
And makes total sense of why the franchise went in the direction it did. But like, truly, I don't have as much or really any interest in that kind of world and story because he's not Black Panther. Like, if they were to bring someone in else to play the character, it wouldn't feel like he is Black Panther. Like, when you see him in public, you want Wakanda forever. Like, you just want to do that, you know? But I had him tied because, you know what, based on things that have happened and him really owning a role, Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, Indiana Jones, Han Solo, Harrison Ford, they're tied for number one for me. So, Jesus, that's my list. It's all over the place.
It's
We're gonna have a totally different list.
It is. We have one.
Oh, we do.
We have one, and and again, it's because of the way I did my list. So this is what I'm going to preface. I'm going to preface this a couple of different ways. Okay. First off,
all the ways you need to.
I changed my list multiple times, and because there was too many characters that I was like, I have to have on this list. And so that's when I set my own rules, which I tend to do when I make these lists, right? So I had at one point at number 2, I knew who I wanted at number 1 the entire time. At number 2, at one point, I had Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. I removed him from the list because he is Captain Jack Sparrow, because that's an original character. So I went with, when we said most perfect casting decision, I wanted to do a character that already existed, either in comic book or TV or movies or books, that they cast somebody and I felt like it was perfection. Okay. So that's why I changed my list. Now, I didn't have Hugh Jackman on my list. Hugh Jackman to me is Wolverine and will always be Wolverine. I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I don't want that to get... I love Heath Ledger as Joker, okay? Heath Ledger's Joker is not comic book Joker. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally.
That's why I didn't put him on the list. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is his own version of Wolverine. If you have read Marvel Comics...
Good point.
Wolverine is a different character than the way Hugh Jackman portrays it. Not that Hugh Jackman's wrong, not that he's necessarily a better version. He's just not. Okay, so I'm going to use this. This is one of my honorable mentions. Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier is, to me, near perfect casting. He's on my list as an honorable mention. Okay? Because, like, when you're casting Professor X, it's like Patrick Stewart's it's like a dead giveaway. And then that's
Professor X.
That's what I mean. So that's the way I did my list, is like that. Like, I couldn't see anybody else doing that role, and I think they took this role that existed in other media and made it like they nailed it in whatever, you know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No.
So it's weird. Those are my weird rules. So anyway, I said I had Patrick Stewart as an honorable mention. My other honorable mention, because I had to throw him on here, was Matthew Lillard as Shaggy.
Oh my God, dude! Yes, because he is Shaggy.
He is Casey Kasem, original Scooby-Doo version of Shaggy in human form, and he freaking nails it. So I had to throw that on there. So
I do feel like, I feel like the way we went about this list, though different rules, still feels very like on.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna like. I don't think anybody I'm gonna name on my list, you're gonna be like, what? No, you're gonna be like, oh, totally get it. Yeah. Just like I did with yours, right? Like, totally get it. Number 5, I had Henry Cavill as Superman, which I think he nailed Superman. I think Christopher Reeve nailed Superman too, but like, Henry is the look, the size, the build, the compassion, the hope, the humanity. all
Mhm.
those things that I think Superman needs to be, and I think he nailed it
Yeah.
100%. Right?
Yeah,
Like
I agree with that.
I think that's, and I was surprised he wasn't on your list. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I thought about him, and then maybe this is kind of fucked up. As you know, when we do these lists, if there's ever
Mhm.
things that we've talked about a lot,
Oh, you don't like putting
even
him on the list.
even though I know they
Yeah.
are there or should be, like maybe I should have mentioned him as my honorable mention, but I was like, we
Yeah.
talked a lot about Henry Cavill and Superman,
Yeah.
so it's like
Don't
I'm
worry.
not gonna put fucking Judge Dredd.
I was gonna say Carl Urban's not on my list.
I can't put Carl Urban on any list for the next fucking
6
20
years.
episodes.
And number 4, I had J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson.
Perfect. That, if I would have thought of him, he would have been on my list.
Perfect.
He is perfect.
Yeah,
he is him.
He's better at J. Jonah Jameson than J. Jonah Jameson is. He is. Dude, nailed it.
They literally, like, it's kind of like Wolverine and Hugh Jackman. Like, he's so good at that character that they just use him as that character in multiple iterations.
Yes. Voice acting, they bring him back into a different universe, and it's still him 100%.
Yes.
So he's my number 4. At number 3, Ian McKellen is Gandalf.
Dude.
Like, you were talking about Frodo, and I was like, Frodo's great. Ian McKellen, to me, is Gandalf, will always be Gandalf. Talk about somebody that, like, has this huge, long stage and acting career, stage and screen, and they get this role when they're now this old man, and, like, he's Gandalf, and he will, dude. I mean, I know he's old, but he's Gandalf and will always be Gandalf. And he's great.
So when I originally did my list, Frodo was at number 3 or number 2, and I moved him to my honorable mention. But I moved someone out of my honorable mention to put Frodo there, and it was Ian McKellen as Gandalf. And so when you started talking about Samwise Gamgee, I almost just chimed in and said, like, literally every character from that movie, I only see, like, Aragorn, like, he is Aragorn, fucking
Orlando Bloom,
fucking Legolas, like
John Rhys Davies is Gimli. Like, I get it.
That 100%. Whole movie was perfectly cast.
Perfectly cast.
Characters.
Yes.
Anyways, continue. Love that. I'm with that. I agree.
So my top 2, and really, I know, so like I've got comic book characters all over this list because that's how I think, that's the way most of this podcast is, right? Number 1 and number 2, I think, are I think they were number 1 and they were number 2, and I don't think it's close. Like, that's how I did my list. Number 2 is Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. He is Deadpool. Like, you can tell when somebody loves a role and wants to do it right. He is, like, iconic in that role. Like, talk about a character that's so hard to get off the pages and onto the screen, and he killed it. Especially after the first time he was cast as Deadpool.
Yes, he got a second chance and he could actually be what he wanted and do the real thing.
The best part of that movie is when he's at the beginning, he plays Wade Wilson. And he's and you're like, oh, this is great. And then you see the end and you're like, what the shit is this?
Like, what the fuck did they do?
How much did they ruin Deadpool? Anyway, so Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Number 1, the only one we both had on our list, Robert Downey Jr. He is Iron Man, and he will always be Iron Man.
Yeah. When he said it at the end of the first movie, that was Robert Downey Jr. talking about himself being Iron Man.
He was right. And he was right.
He was right.
Yes, he was right. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. He will always be Iron Man. He can win Oscars for Oppenheimer and doesn't matter. He's going to be Iron Man until the day he dies. And then he'll be Iron Man until nobody remembers who Iron Man is.
I totally love your list. It's great.
Yours
I love
too.
that
I
list.
loved your list. There's people that, like, we can talk about all these movies and how great people were cast. Like listen, Arnold is the Terminator, right? We talk about casting Batman and Michael Keaton and Christian Bale and, like, how great they are as Batman. But, like, it's not 100% as much as I think that character should be. Like, if you took a mix of, like, I don't know, I think Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne is really good. And, like, Christian Michael Keaton's Batman's really, like it's almost like you got to mix some of these guys together to get the perfect Bruce Wayne Batman mix.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's why it's hard for me. Like you could say, like, if you compare, like, if I watch if we're talking Batman again, I think Heath Ledger's Joker is better than Jack Nicholson's 100%. That's my opinion. I know there's people that think Jack's better. Jack's closer to the Joker.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think
agree.
either one of them's great at like nailed it. Nobody's nailed the Joker yet.
Yeah.
I don't
in terms
think so.
of like being accurate to
the comic book. I don't think anybody's. I don't think anybody's touched it yet.
Yeah.
I think that'll be interesting to see if somebody finally gets that right. And I'm not saying they did it wrong. Obviously, we've had two guys win Oscars for playing the Joker, and they're both amazing, but neither one of them is the Joker.
Okay, so I didn't mention this, and I should have. I don't know how. It was one of the things I missed when I was talking about Batman: The Audio Files.
Yeah.
The one of the reasons why it's so good is because the Joker is Brent Spiner, which is also Data from Star Trek. Bro, his Joker is fucking awesome. It's very like scary, but like they have him as like Bobo the Clown is like there's a commercial for Bobo the Clown, and like so they do a lot of that, which you can tell that it's probably gonna be the Joker. He's like scary, but he's super old school comic book funny, but then he's like Heath Ledger crazy.
Yeah.
Like really good. So anyways, not to circle back, but his Joker was awesome.
That's great.
So
listen, there's lots of awesome Jokers, don't get me wrong, but like the closest one I can think of to ever getting close to the actual like Joker in the comic books, it's Mark Hamill.
Say, okay, yeah. Oh,
that's I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
like
that's actually a good point. That he nailed the Joker.
He did.
I would say
he really
nailed the Joker.
If I would have had 100% if I would have done with the voice actors, like yeah, him and Kevin Conroy are Batman and the Joker
for sure. I was just gonna say
there's no doubt.
Nice. What a great list.
Yeah, a great category. Like, so we talked about that's going to be part one.
Because part two, should we say what it is, or?
Yeah, let's do it.
Part two is going to be worst casted actors for a role in a movie.
Yeah.
So basically the same thing, but opposite. Like someone who's so poorly casted for a role that it ruined the movie for you. Even if maybe the movie was good, maybe it was bad, but
I'm with you. And the way I'm going to tell you now, prefacing it now, the way I'm going to do my list is exactly how I did this one. I'm going to go with somebody who is nothing like the character that they're portraying. So, I mean, that's the way I'm going to do it.
I love it. It'll be fun. I think these were some good, like,
oh yeah.
I don't know if we had talked about it or maybe some of my friends who listen, like we're talking about like doing the list of like the top 5 Batman movies or top 5 Marvel movies is so like that. Those are things that are talked about a lot.
It's cliche.
It's when we do these like random things where it's
They're
like, why are like nobody's talking about this stuff. It's just a lot more fun. We can cut loose a lot more with it. So
yeah, we got to come up with more lists like this for sure.
Yeah.
These are the more fun ones to talk about. It's crazy though. Like we said, of all the theme songs in all the history of cinema, we had 3 that matched. Like that's crazy. You know, that just means that we're both pretty smart dudes.
When you said Purple Rain, I was like, you son of a bitch. I can't believe you. Oh, man.
Had to be on there. Listen,
that's a good one.
Good episode. Again, we know this movie is not going to draw a lot of attention. We hope our discussion around our top 5 lists draw some extra content. I'm going to make sure this week I actually cut those and get those out separate as their own thing, because I think that's going to, and I'm going to do more clips, I think, this week too, off of our top 5, get some more views on social media that way. But
yeah, I feel like now school started, we're probably going to get a little bit like summers. We're all over the place. We're traveling a lot.
Correct.
Family stuff. So now we'll get a little bit back more to, I think,
Yeah,
kind
you
of
know,
being
like when we
best.
started back, I think beginning of March, and that was very, or April. But it was right when things were still kind of in home. We're not traveling as much. Kids are still
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
school. It's a lot easier for us to take the time to spend on some of this stuff than it has been through the summer
Yeah.
when we're out doing stuff and we're traveling and all that, obviously. But a good episode again.
Yeah.
Like great list, a lot of
Ton of
energy.
fun.
Yeah,
Lots of
fun
fun.
episode. Good discussions. I love it. Guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Again, if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us the like and subscribe. Click that
Do
bell.
it.
Leave some
Click a
comments.
like and leave a goddamn comment.
Give us some obscure ideas for top 5 lists, or like, hey, give us your top 5 perfectly cast characters or songs. We'd love to see that as well.
Yeah,
There's a lot out there.
There has to be a ton, because when we were doing these lists today, I was like, it was painful to leave so many out.
Yeah.
I would imagine that you probably have some too. So comment either your top 5, your top 2, or one we definitely missed, or one we were way wrong about. Yeah, for sure.
Great. If you're not watching us on YouTube, please check us out on a podcast service such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, or Podcast Index. Find us on social media at Movie Dads Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Episode 18 in the books. We'll be back for episode 19 next week. Big premiere. Movie of the week. DC's Blue Beetle.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle. I think we were on the fence between that and the Last Voyage of the Dementor, right? Is that what
we had talked about it. That one come out this week, so we're gonna do comic book movies like we like to do. We're gonna do Blue Beetle. It's gotta be better than The Flash. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for watching. We love you. Bye.
Bye. You son of a